Who is our God? Our God exists as an eternal relationship. Now think about that. Our God exists as an eternal relationship. Before anything came into being, before anything was created, the Father, the Son, and the Spirit existed in an eternal relationship. It means that reality is relational at its core. Reality is relational at its core. All of reality is grounded and founded in the relational God, in the community of the Trinity. Reality is relational at its core. And what you see in the first cause, you see in the effects. As we look out over all of reality, as we see it, know it, and experience it, we see a reality that is dependent, interdependent on every aspect of it. It's an interrelated reality. Everything we do affects something. You know, whether it's a butterfly flapping its wings in Taiwan or a hurricane starts in Germany, the butterfly effect. Everything is interrelated. Everything is connected. Everything exists in an eternal relationship. Everything exists in a relationship. Why? What explains that? Or does the idea that the universe, in the beginning was nothing, then the nothing exploded, and suddenly everything is related to each other? No. What you get when nothing explodes is precisely nothing. Because if there's nothing to explode, do the math. In fact, you can't do the math because there's nothing, so there's no math either. But honestly, Stephen Hawking taught this. Stephen Hawking taught that because there is such a thing as the law of gravity, the universe will create itself out of nothing. Excuse me? That's a direct quote from Stephen Hawking, one of the most celebrated physicists of forever. Because there is such a thing as the law of gravity, the universe will create itself out of nothing. What? If there is nothing, then there is no law of gravity, is there? In fact, what even is the law of gravity? There's no such thing as the law of gravity. It's just a description of what we perceive in the universe and the way things operate. There is no actual law. It's just something we use to describe what we see. It seems to be consistent across all of our understanding of the universe that there is this way that gravity operates. And we call that law. But if there's nothing, there's no law of gravity, whether it exists or not. And my professor, John Lennox, said in response that nonsense remains nonsense even when spoken by well-known, well-respected physicists. Nonsense remains nonsense. And it's a statement of nonsense. Everything we see in this universe is interrelated. Even given, let's give Hawking his dues and say, okay, well maybe this somehow nothing can explode and create stuff. Let's just pretend that that's possible. If the nothing explodes and suddenly everything comes into existence, it wouldn't be ordered, it wouldn't be interrelated, it wouldn't be interdependent, it would be chaotic. It would be shrapnel. Boom! Shrapnel goes everywhere. But everything's interrelated. Why is it that we see a universe that is ordered? Why is it that we experience everything in reality as relational? Everything is interrelated. If you see it in the effect, it must be present in the cause. We see it in the effect because it is present in the cause. The first cause, God himself. God is a relational being, therefore he has created a relational reality. It is what makes sense of our experience in this world and in this life. Reality is relational. That means everything we do matters. Everything we do matters. Nothing is inconsequential. Everything you do matters. There is no such thing as a victimless crime. There is no such thing as private sin. Everything you do matters. Everything you do matters. Behind closed doors in the privacy of your own bedroom or not, everything matters.